Good evening, hello friends, and welcome to Kickstart Your Weekend. It's Friday, and it has been a long and amazing week. I hope you are all well. We've got a fair amount to get through today. Um, yeah, I almost don't know where to start. I'm really excited. There's a project that is in the Mörk Borg universe, sort of. We have some DCC stuff to talk about, and a board gamey role playing game. I'm really interested in this. Um, as I didn't really enjoy Gloomhaven, but there have been plenty of other products that fill that void in the way that I'd kind of hoped for in the first place. But where should we start? Well, with Devious Dungeons and Foreboding Forests, and the coolest of cats. My name's Phil, and welcome to the Dark Orb. Ah, there we go, and we're here. Yeah, happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're all, having fun and you've had a great day and a great week. It's been really fun for us this week. Don't know if you saw, but on Wednesday we had an actual play of Necrobiotic, which was a game that was originally published in Italian. It's a much smaller tome and has been updated for the English speaking world, massively upgraded in lots of different ways. The core tenets of the book, if you like, are very much the same, but what a work of art. So the wonderful Mitch Wallace took three of us into that world on Wednesday. The actual play of that is on our YouTube. Please go and check it out. It was really cool. Content warning, it's dystopian kind of horror, really, so there's body horror among other things. So just pay attention to what's down in the show notes, if you like, of that episode. So I want you to have the most fun you possibly can watching that show. But yeah, Necrobiotic was amazing. It's in pre-order at the moment, so if you enjoy it, or if you like the look of it, go check out the Kickstarter that they did as well, which was in June of last year. Then do check out the pre-orders page, which is at necrobiotic.backakit.com, because they're going to close that really soon, like in the next few weeks. So probably by the end of this month. So if you want to jump on board with that, particularly with the absolutely beautiful limited edition of Necrobiotic, then you really do need to kind of jump on that by the end of this month. One moment. A frog is in my throat today. What else? Yeah, last week we had our giveaway for DCC Purple Sorcerer. We're still hugely grateful to Purple Sorcerer for helping us with that competition. We've got more DCC stuff lined up, I think, in March. So watch this space. I think it was going to be like towards the very end of this month on a Wednesday. Need to double check the dates. They will obviously go up onto our stream as an upcoming event as soon as we've completely confirmed that. If you want to know exactly when that is, please join our Discord. We're talking all about that and many other things on the Discord. The link is below, and it's free for everyone. You don't need to be a patron. Of course, you're welcome to join our Patreon, but you don't need to be a Patreon subscriber in order to come and talk to us on Discord. Yeah, we just have some fun there. First of all, though, let's talk about what's going on in the world of crowdfunding. And how's it going, Bruce? Really good to see you. Thank you for joining. We've got three really interesting and very diverse campaigns to talk about today in crowdfunding. The first of which is the DCC 100, The Music of the Spheres is Chaos campaign. Let me just share that. Let's have a look here. Check this out. So, first of all, what I should say is, if you don't know what DCC is, Dungeon Crawl Classics, it's a really nice open. My brain is gone. It's an OSR game, basically. So think back to Dungeons and Dragons. in Dungeons and Dragons you have something called Appendix N, and basically in Appendix N, at the back of the D&D books are the reference materials, so all the novels, etc., that Guy Gax read as inspiration when creating D&D. Joseph Goodman of Goodman Games basically decided he wanted to revisit all of that material, read it all, and then create an old school Renaissance OSR game that harkens back to the original material without relying too much on 5th edition D&D. And just trying to really go back to the meanings of the like the magical systems that were there, and how to really make it a very pulpy, fun, heavy metal game. And that's what he did. We actually have a video all about DCC with Judge Zach, who is our judge for all of our DCC adventures that we've got on our YouTube channel, and also our patron Martin. Check that out. It was really fun. You can just find that on our YouTube channel. We go into quite a lot of depth about the system and the world. The way that it works is that there are now coming up to 100 modules, and each of those modules is like a almost like an A4 size booklet, and it's got a variable number of pages depending on which module you choose. Some of them could be run very, very easily in 3-4 hours. Some of those modules might keep you going for months. DCC number 100, I suspect, will be one of those ones that will take a few months to get through. Let's have a look at why. This is really cool, by the way. So, what you see here, the incredible spinning wheel dungeon, an epic boxed dungeon crawl that spins on 4 separate axes. You won't mistake this for any other adventure anywhere ever. And I'm trying really hard to put myself in the shoes of the player as well as the judge or the GM for this. It's written by Harley Stroh, who, if you know your DCC, I mean, if you know your DCC, you've probably already read and backed this, I'm going to be honest. Obviously it says back this project here, but of course I've backed it. Harley wrote some really great DCC adventures, some stuff for the Lankmar setting that they've got, as well as the very famous funnel module, Sailors of the Starless Sea, which for many people is their absolute favourite funnel. And there's quite a lot in this campaign, but let's just have a read of this, shall we? The music of the spheres is chaos. Eons past, a society of vision-haunted philosopher kings marched their enemies into a mountain fortress at the top of the world. On their backs they bore a legendary treasure hoard, coffers spilling over with blazing gems, strong boxes bright with gold, and the jewelled idols of 1,000 gods they were never seen again. Today, those once imperious halls are coated with dust and ice. Memories of the fabled treasure hoard and the heretical theophages are lost to antiquity. But deep within the heart of the mountain, the flames of chaos sputter and flare. Chaos is quite an important concept in Dungeon Crawl Classics, and not necessarily in the sort of way that you might find it in, for example, Call of Cthulhu. But it's very important. It's one of the central things. It's a very magic-rich system, beautiful system, lots of tables. So, for example, if you're a magical caster, you have to roll your dice to meet a challenge, and really what you're trying to do is trying to roll as high as you can on magic, for example, and the higher you roll, the better your result on a table. You can choose lower results, but to pick a lower result from the table. But if you get a really high number on a magical score, and you might want to even sacrifice parts of your own body in order to boost that score, something called spell burning, then you can do incredible things. And all of it is interlinked. This is something really interesting. They talk about the fact that this has taken 6 years to create in entirety, so they've been planning this for a long time, and The adventure is supported with a spinning alembic key, copious player handouts and puzzles, and all the judges' tools, so the GM's tools, you'll need to challenge the fiercest of reavers and cutthroats. Designed for 5th level adventurers, this adventure spans several gaming sessions. Now, we go really slowly in Dungeon Crawl Classics, to be honest with you, and certainly in our own home game, because it's such a fun place to be, that we don't tend to kind of spam through an adventure really quickly. We want to explore everything that's written. I could quite easily see this taking months for us. Let's have a look at the map. Check this out. Oh, or not, because it's just going to move. Hang on a second, where did that go? There we go. Look at this. This is really cool. I'm just going to bring that back to the beginning again. There is no audio on this, by the way. So each of these little areas moves and spins around. And let's imagine you're a player there. You won't necessarily even know that it spins. I don't know if there's a mechanism in there where you're told as a player that the room is spinning, or if it's so slow that you can't tell. No idea. I probably should have read this to see if there was any information about that. But the idea that not only does the room you're in spin, which means that at some point when you're exploring, you might end up going to a completely different place than you entered from. But the way that it links to everything else is also massively changed. It's very cool, very clever. It'd be really interesting to see how that's all put together. What do you get in the box? Well, I mean, their boxes tend to be pretty sizable anyway, and fairly heavy duty. You could certainly whack someone over the head with it as a funky melee weapon if you really wanted to. 48 pages for the book, and the game board is 17 by 22 inches. If I had my earlier in the day brain on, I'd be able to convert that on the fly into centimeters roughly. It's not going to happen tonight, folks. I'm sorry. What else do we get? Let's have a look. Spinning map we've just looked at. It's really, really awesome. I just think that's wicked. Knowing that we'll only get a chance to do this once, we've tasked Harley with pouring all of his love of gaming into DCC 100. The inspirations are really interesting. Lots of references and old school callbacks. A short list of things that he was willing to share. Elemental Lord inspired by Elric. What else do we have? Roslov's Monster, Keep on the Borderlands. So a lot of this is old school D&D, AD&D. Opportunity for inattentive PCs to walk off the map and become cat lords, inspired by Monster Manual 2. Since the advent of Goodman games, Joe Goodman has been encouraging writers to use puzzle referencing the techniques used in foldovers on the inside back covers of Mad magazine. That's pretty cool. I don't think we ever really saw Mad magazine in the UK. If anyone knows whether or not that actually made it over here, I'd love to know, actually. But Mad magazine was hugely influential to the US, and certainly the sort of counterculture out there. So that's really awesome. And yeah, look at how well this is blazing through the stretch goals. It's impressive stuff. There's not too much left at this point. So hopefully, and we've got a little bit of time left on this. I think it's like a week left on this. I'll double check in a second. In fact, I'm pretty sure it ends Saturday after next. So not tomorrow, but a week after tomorrow at time of recording. I mean, you know, call me a magpie, but I can't highlight. I just want that $200,000 foil printed character sheet folio. That's, you know, sort of thing I like. I think it'd be really cool. So that is what's going on with DCC 100. I'm not going to play the video because it's fairly lengthy if it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, there we go. 7 days left to go. And we're looking at $173,000 so far, which is pretty good for a Goodman Games Kickstarter. And there are some extra things, like there's some add-ons. If you don't know, DCC dice tend to be, and I'm sure that this is no exception, a 14 dice set. So this is one of the areas where it differs from... Oh, cool. I did not know that. Hey, Andy, very good to see you. And 43 by 56 centimeters, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I didn't realize that Mad Magazine was out here. Obviously, I'm a little bit younger, but I'm still in my 40s, and yeah, so it's a very very important magazine for the kind of, among other things, the evolution of alternative um, comedy as well in the US, especially. Um, there's a lot of really interesting things that kind of were inspired by or um, started with Mad Magazine in lots of different areas of media. It's really cool. So check it out. Um, let me have a look and see what's happening here. Yoel says that my audio is only coming in one channel, so let me see if I can fix that. That's unusual. Let's see. Is that any better? Thank you very much. Who else have we got? And Richard, Mr. Coulthard, very, very good to see you. Right, let's get back to the rock and roll. DCC, 14 dice in a dice chain. So whereas in Dungeons and Dragons, particularly 5th edition, you might want to, like, say you're flanking, you'll get an advantage over your opponent, and you do that by rolling 2 dice and hopefully one of them will succeed. In Dungeon Crawl Classics, you go up from a d20 to a d24. If you're disadvantaged, you'll go down to a d16. And I think, try and remember off the top of my head, it's d3, 4, 5, 6, 7, d9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 20, 24, 30, I think. Anyone watching, let me know if I got that wrong. Let me know in the comments. And if you're looking forward to DCC 100, then please hit like. Let us know. Tell us in the comments what you think and what you're looking forward to. And great, thank you, Yoel, for letting me know that there was an audio issue there. Apologies if you're listening with headphones and you only got me in one ear. Even more apologies that now you've got to tolerate me in both ears. You had some respite for a second there. You can blame our good friend Yoel over on Discord. Just come along. The link's down below. Yeah, so we get to choose which dice we are looking at here. You can vote for the design of the void dice. There are a few different color options here. I'm hoping these are the normal 14 die poly sets, but I'm not entirely sure because they're only showing these, the standard poly set here, but that's probably just because that's what impact dice, I presume they were using impact dice here, have already out of the box. And I'll be honest, I would probably get the water ones. In terms of the cost to grab this, if it's something that you're interested in, it's not that expensive. Goodman Games, generally, actually, their products are fairly well priced. The challenge we have in the UK, and it's not going to be any better right now. I'll just make this bigger again. Sorry, so there you go. You can see the dice better now. I'm an idiot. The problem we have in the UK with Goodman Games especially is that the shipping is not really wonderful for non-US backers, and certainly in the UK it's not going to be any better now. Hopefully it'll improve over time, or maybe they'll sort out some better distribution. I know they changed who they're distributing with, so that will help. They've opted to use another company from the one they were using, say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So that should really make an impact. But of course, we're offset by global events. So PDF is 30 quid, $40. I think that's fair considering how much you're going to get from that and the amount of gameplay you're going to have. But for 45 quid, you get the printed box set. So this is really weighted. 30 quid to 45. This is really weighted towards getting the print, and I think that's important because of what you're going to get there. And then if you're a retailer, obviously, then you have that. There was a first 100 special, which is basically the same box set, slightly cheaper, and you get a sparkly sticker. So I think we managed to secure that ourselves. So at some point, the box files that you normally see behind me will have a sparkly sticker on them. Yay. Actually, I don't know if they will. They might get saved. I don't get to keep the stickers. They go to the other half. That's DCC 100. The music of the spheres is chaos. What do you think? What are your thoughts on it? Have you played Dungeon Crawl Classics before? Are you looking forward to playing it? Have you run it? I haven't run it. I've played it quite a lot. Obviously, we played it on the stream several times now, and I really, really enjoy it. But I have not actually fully read the core rulebook, so I don't know all of the mechanisms behind the GM screen, if you like. Let us know what you think. Tell us in the comments. And we should probably start thinking about the next game on our list, and that is League of Dungeoneers. Now, this is a really, really interesting project. It started off, I believe, as a print and play, and has been really popular, very successful indeed. And from my limited understanding of it, it's a lot of stuff to look at here. What we're looking at effectively here is that my screen has just disappeared. Hang on, let me fix that. Ah, the joys of Windows. Right. There we go, that's better. Right. What we're looking at is as we say here, a detailed old school solo co-op dungeon crawl with heavy RPG elements, lots of dungeon tiles, monsters, loot, and replayability. What does that really mean? What it really means is you've got a hex crawl, which is very cool, and you've got some elements that you might see in a game like Folklore. Maybe to a lesser extent, it's very similar to Gloomhaven, but it's a dice-based game. For me, Folklore is the game that it really reminds me of. There's also Swords and Sorcery. There are a few other kind of RPGs in a box. And this is like that. So I can see various reasons why you might want this. First and foremost, it's going to give you a bunch of dungeon tiles. So if you don't already have loads of dungeon tiles, then that's really cool. It gives you some dice as well, and a nice dice bag. And I don't think there's miniatures, but I think there are standees. Let's double check that. Scroll through. I know there is, yeah, standees. But you get these lovely 3D doors that are unpainted. They look very similar to the terrain that we got with Folklore, at least around the outside of them. The sculpting is kind of typical medieval, I guess. Don't know if they're resin or if they're PVC. I would presume they're PVC, to be honest with you. But what we're looking at is a huge, I'm just going to read this, huge true solo co-op dungeon crawl board game with heavy RPG elements, character driven, where the focus is on developing your party of heroes. Doesn't take any shortcuts, so they say, when it comes to details. You've got 4 species and 8 professions, over 100 talents and perks. So you can micromanage this to your heart's content if that's what you really, really want to do. Randomized dungeons, so that reminds me a little bit of how if you've ever seen the Dungeons and Dragons board games, we've got, for example, Wrath of Ashardalon, and all the tiles, the dungeon tiles, are the same shape, like they're just squares, but you shuffle them up, you don't really know what you're going to get. So maybe this is similar to that. If they're actually randomized, that's kind of interesting, but I'd have to check. Andy has just asked something about Kallax. You just, I would say, did that really say looks awesome in Kallax at the top of the page? Hardly a selling point if you don't have Kallax. Well, maybe it'll inspire you to buy one. I did not spot that. Let me have a look. No, was it the other game? If it does say it, it must be in one of the images. Right. Where were we? Is this the OG Warhammer Quest replacement we have been looking for? I actually intended to pick up Warhammer Quest, and it's supposed to be a lot of fun. Yeah, because it has standees, it's miniature agnostic. So for those of us who've got 10,000 miniatures, hopefully most of them painted, certainly not mine, then you can use those. But the standees will help you with that. 8 kilograms, 8 kilos. That's got to be on par with Gloomhaven, right? I mean, I'm a little bit skewed in terms of how much Gloomhaven actually weighs, because we have the broken token component organizer for that, even though we really didn't play Gloomhaven at all. Well, that's not true. We played about 5 missions and then hated it. So, but yeah, we've still got that. We'll paint it and we'll change the rules and play it again at some point. Here we go. There we go. In the image. Looks awesome in your Kallax. I mean, that's probably the most important thing, I've got to say, for games these days, because they're going to stay in your Kallax most of the time. Bruce says, what's a Kallax? Yeah, I've got no idea. What else do we have here? So this is set up with a small dungeon. See, I'm not sure how you can... I should have read the rules, really, but there's 280 pages of them, and I don't think that the full rule set's here anyway. How can you randomize it when you've got dungeons that have got components that aren't the same size? I mean, you kind of know what you're drawing there, unless maybe this is card driven, so you draw a card for what's going to be next in the dungeon, which then seems like twice as much work. You've got to draw a card and then find the piece. Surely that's going to slow it down. I don't know. But this is rated, for the print and play for this, is rated really highly on Board Game Geek. So they must be doing something right. 240 pages for the rulebook, hardcover rulebook in soft cover. Soft cover? Hardcover rulebook in full colour, not soft cover. That would make no sense. There we go. And right, see what I'm saying? I was reading it verbatim. Hardcover and soft cover books here. Hardcover rulebook, soft cover bestiary. There we go. Makes sense to me now. 41 tiles. I see a lot of them are the same sort of shape, so I guess there is some element of randomness, even if it's just a case of pulling something that's the same shape and then seeing what comes out of it. 394 cards. That's a lot of sleeving if you're into sleeving. Hopefully it'll fit. The storage will fit both sleeved and unsleeved, because a lot of people prefer to sleeve, especially if they're playing with friends, especially if they're playing with friends that don't otherwise own their own board games. But yeah, it seems quite reminiscent of both Gloomhaven and, in some ways, in terms of the kind of narrative structure, I guess. More importantly, probably Folklore, which has travel events and is very much a more role-playing adventure than Gloomhaven is, because Gloomhaven is just a bunch of strategy games stuck together with a map, really, and some narrative arcing. There is some storytelling there, but it's certainly not a role-playing game. It's kind of narrative strategy game. Right, what have we got in the comments? What is a Kallax under key features? We could tell you, Bruce, but that might have some unfortunate consequences, like you going to IKEA. Viking storage of Kickstarter loot, that's what a Kallax is. Gimli bought some stuff at IKEA. He offered to lend me some, and here's Kallax. And you know what else you'd find in an IKEA if you looked hard enough and you stayed for long enough for the free roaming creatures to come out of their hiding. Hiding in the back maybe of one of those Kallaxes, you might just find a Doug.
Hey, what's going on? Am I the only one here with you?
Yeah, brother.
Wow.
We got a lot of action in the comments, but I think everyone has had as long a week as I have, and yeah, you know, sometimes it's just a little bit more difficult to, convince yourself not to go to bed early.
Yeah, no. Sometimes you got to watch that TV show, or read that RPG book, or do something. And
we'll talk about it in the after party in half an hour. So if you're watching live and you want to hang out after this show and talk about anything, then please, come over to Twitch, twitch.tv/thedarkorb UK, and we'll talk all sorts of rubbish.
So Andy says that your volume is low compared to mine, and when I hopped on, it was pretty low, Phil.
There's something really weird going on. There must have been an update or something. Let me have another tweak. Let's try that.
That's better.
Cool. Sorry, everyone. I don't really know what's going on with my audio today. Right. Where was I? Yeah. Hang around for the after party over on twitch.tv/The Dark Orb UK. In half an hour or so, we'll take the role-playing game stuff out of this and just talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. I'm half an hour away from finishing the Reacher series. So I really want to talk about that. If
The what series?
Reacher.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen that yet.
I won't give any spoilers. Don't worry, because that would suck. But it's really cool. So yeah, hang around. We'll talk about all sorts of things, movies and stuff. But right now we are talking about the League of Dungeoneers. Have you looked at this at all, Doug?
I have not. I have not looked at this.
Okay, so in case you missed, because obviously you took your sweet time to come away from your real life to come and talk to me.
I had to stay, after school for a little bit, so I apologize. I meant to be here a little bit earlier than I got here. But
I appreciate it.
The League of Dungeoneers. What is this?
So, it is in the newfound tradition of an RPG in a box.
Okay.
So, think of something like folklore or sword and sorcery, or even the good bits, the RPG bits. Let me be more accurate, of Gloomhaven, but with a more OSR feel.
Okay.
So you get a bunch of. I'm not going to play the video because it's basically just a whole bunch of kind of deep dive into what things are. It's a great video, by the way, but it's not particularly exciting. So up or colo, solo or co-op, looks good in your Kallax, lots of loot, and yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at. So it reminds me of things like the Dungeons and Dragons games, board games, but you don't get minis. You've got standees, but you can use minis. Obviously, you can just pull them from your other games. And there's a 240-page core rulebook, which is pretty intense. It's hardcover,
right?
A hard soft cover, as I was saying earlier. You get a bunch of dungeon tiles, which is pretty cool. And certainly, if you don't already have dungeon tiles, they're always useful. Lots of cards for events and for monsters and the rooms that you're going into, and treasure, and you get a deck of playing cards, which is always great. Bunch of door tokens, but there's also some 3D doors that you can get. I presume they're resin, they might just be PVC. You get a world map, because actually this is a hex crawl, which is interesting.
Okay.
And some dice and cubes and quick reference sheets. This kind of gives you an idea of how complex it might be. So there's definitely an element of learning to do.
So does it have preset scenarios to play out, or is
that's what I haven't quite worked out yet?
Yeah, it just kind of seems like
doors and standees and coins and stuff are add-ons. Let's see. I know that some of our friends have probably had a look at it. Wasn't there a field level storage incident in the Suez Canal a while back in a Kickstarter evergreen? Yeah, there was. PDF. You have to pay extra for a PDF of the rulebook, which is a shame. And the pricing on this is pretty promising, but I think that's a really good question, Doug, about.
Yeah, it said that there was a campaign, so I would assume that that's probably it.
Exploring dungeons. All dungeons are revealed room by room as you explore. All monster and treasures are randomized, making the quest different every time you play them. Kind of doesn't feel like a quest then. Huge number of room and corridor tiles, large number of specific objective tiles. All rooms have different furniture. When searching furniture, chests is likely to contain gold or magical items, whereas bookshelf is more likely to contain a magical scroll. Okay, fine. Character development. So you've got quite an intricate character sheet. Tactical combat. Yeah.
It's still I like dungeon crawls like this, in general, and I like the fact that they have standees instead of minis, because right at this point, you're not, let's call it what it is. We all have a lot of minis games probably. Yeah. I just don't know what this does differently.
I think it's just because it's more OSR. The indication that I got is, you don't have many hex crawl games like this that are a board game that is kind of trying to harken back to the OSR feel.
Yeah.
I don't think so much. I mean, they do exist, but maybe not so much. I guess something like Sword and Sorcery is probably kind of the closest you're going to get. But I don't think it's got that hex crawly type thing going on. There may well be a world map, but it's not really a hex crawl.
This kind of reminds me of a product that Riot Minds put out called Ruin Quest. I think Ruin. Was that what it was called?
Ruin Masters.
Ruin Masters. That's what it was.
Hmm.
That's kind of what it's giving me those type of
Yeah, and Andy has just said exactly what I would be thinking, which is if I backed this, it would be to reuse the tiles, furniture in another game, I suspect, rather than for the game itself. And that's probably accurate for me as well. Now, it is worth actually discussing the price, which is actually not bad. Look, it's $1. So €1. If we just go, let's not be around the bush. So ignoring the all-in tier and the super deluxe limited edition, because they're not available now. But where's it gone? Go past the retail stuff. The all-in tier, €135, £112. And for that, you get the game, the 3D doors, all the stretch goals, the expansions, character sheets, standees, dice bag, the dice tray, metal coins, sleeves, which is actually, I mean, sleeves aren't cheap these days. Spell and prayer cards, world map in neoprene. If anything, I'm a little concerned that it might be a little bit underpriced for the amount of stuff that's in it, in terms of that's got to have not a lot of margin.
No, yeah, and especially with the paper shortage and the card, the gray stock shortage that's going on, I'm surprised that
I'd expect it to be probably maybe like an extra £50 or so, kind of closer to 200 than 100.
Yoel says, I think the tiles are 100% waterproof. By the way, interesting.
What if you're pouring something that's 95% water?
That's a good question.
And with that, hey Yoel, how are you?
I am okay. I didn't intend to join, but here I am.
Welcome, my friend. Welcome. So what are your thoughts on this game?
I think it's going to be too complex for me to play by myself.
Yeah.
I was thinking of backing it, but there is no way in hell I'm going to get the missus to play it with me.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a solo for me. And no, I don't think I have the brain capacity for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But regarding the tiles, since I was thinking about backing it, I followed it before it went live. And I think I saw a video of him demonstrating the tiles by submerging them in water, that they were 100% waterproof. Since love ya, Bruce.
3 people to heckle from Bruce there. And the tiles are a nice aspect, but I kind of feel like for many of the games that this competes with, let me form that another way. Many people will already have a product that provides tiles like that.
Exactly.
And those games are probably more playable.
Maybe, but what I think this guy is going for is more not the strategic board game aspects of a dungeon crawl, but more the RPG style of it.
Yeah.
Basically creating a solo or co-op board game of an RPG experience. Like you could, where we scrolled by some text there, it said you could go to different towns in a quest as you please. So it's kind of like an open world. You have quests, but they are within the open world. It's not like you play a mission or a quest that locks you down to completing the quest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is an RPG in a board game format.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's not for me. I won't be buying it. but that's not because I think it's a bad product. I just know how much board game debt I have and how little capacity I have for learning completely new things.
For anybody that doesn't already have existing tiles and existing standees, and that's probably a really good price point to jump in and get it,
Really
you know,
good.
and if the tiles are waterproof, that's a super big plus, because we all know that, like, as we're at the table, sometimes drinks spill over. I know it's horrible to think that, like, you know, drinks are wasted and that, you know, but sometimes that happens. But no, I think that's definitely a good price point for those type of items if you don't have, you know, those already on hand.
Exactly. You know, getting like the standees are always welcome.
Yep.
We all have a romantic notion that we've got all these minis and we're going to paint them and they're going to look amazing on the table. But the reality is you might spend 10, 20 hours painting a miniature, either because you want to put loads of detail in or because, like me, you kind of suck at it. No one else is going to appreciate how much effort you put into that miniature if they're using it. And no one else is going to have the same level of regard for how much that miniature means to you. And in many ways, sometimes standees actually can be a better experience. They're just easier to deal with.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot. I mean, we did a whole episode on this a couple weeks ago about how there's a lot of board games out there and a lot of products out there that, you know, minis are just added cost. Like, there's not really any need for them. Prime example, there's a Kickstarter on right now from Mantic that is for the Umbrella Academy. I don't know if you talked to that about that before.
No, we might talk about that in more detail next week.
But yeah, I have serious thoughts about that campaign, which is, I still don't think it's funded, even though it's been alive for like 3 days at this point.
We'll have a little dive into that in the Friday party.
Sure.
And see how it's doing, and then maybe actually talk about it in more detail next week if we don't have other things to discuss. But yeah, that's the League of Dungeoneers. I do think it's value for money. I do think it's cool. I think it looks really pretty. I like how muted the tiles are. It's not like super comic booky. And we've got, as we said before, like, you've got a world map you can use. Nothing stopping you from using that for another game. All these tokens that will all be usable, I'm sure. Bunch of standees. 400 standees is actually great. There are campaigns out there for standees where you'll get like 50 for 100 quid. So obviously, you know, there are cheaper ones as well, and you get them in acrylic and all sorts. But to have those just as part of, particularly if you're getting the all-in, you're getting a lot of value.
Yeah, and they're double-sided, so that's even so. Someone paid a lot of money for art for both sides of that product. So
yeah, exactly. You know, you have to pay an artist twice, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3D doors. It's always good to have doors. Right. So that's that. Like we said, it's like £115 for the all-in tier, 112. Or the standard tier is 53. Which will still get you a bunch of value. But honestly, if you're starting a collection from scratch, I would go with the other one. Right, let's move on quickly because we are quickly running out of time. Let's talk about the star of the show. Pirate Borg. No, how would we say this?
Pirate Borg. That's all I'm saying. That's how I'm saying it.
Yoel, how would you say this?
I'm with Doug on this.
This doesn't really work, does it? Otherwise,
no.
I think I should call it Pirate Galleon, but that's just me. Yeah. So what we're looking at is an RPG that is inspired super heavily by Mörk Borg, and we have about 12 minutes to talk about it. So let's just crack in. It looks freaking amazing, actually. We compare that to the Mörk Borg book, the original. You'd think that it was by the same designers, by the same artists, being printed at the same place, all of this sort of stuff. Doug, what do you think about this game? Tell me in one sentence or less how much
I'm
you
not going to be able to do it in one sentence or less. I'm going to tell you right now. I saw this on Kickstarter. I immediately thought it was from Stockholm Cartel and those guys. Immediately thought it was from them. It's not. It's from this guy named Luke Stratton, I think his last name is. I can't remember off. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Luke Stratton. He designed the whole thing. He's done the rules. I mean, granted, he took the bones from Mörk Borg, but he wrote the rules, did the art, and did the layout, all of it for this game. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen the game already. Like, he sent me over a early copy of the game. Oh my God. Like, you would swear that Johan and the team laid it out, and it's really, really good. Really good.
There's some idea of what, I mean, we've got this flickery epilepsy-inducing thing going on here, but just look at this. I wonder if I can make this any bigger without breaking things. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go.
It's
apart from that horrible banner at the top. Let me just do this. It's so cool.
Yeah,
the attention to detail here for one person as well to have done this.
To know, it looks really, really good, and you're like, oh my God, this has to be done by the same team. It's not at all. And then you realize that one person did it all, and then he also did like a 5th edition booklet for this game, like
just in case you want to downgrade it.
It's crazy to think that this game is so polished for a first time project,
and he's keeping the price really low as well, which is wonderful.
The price is good. Of course, it's going to have to come. You have to pay shipping for it, but it's going to be hardcover. It's from the same printers as what Free League uses.
Oh, cool. So they're using the same printer. Is that the one in Latvia?
I believe so. Yep. I'm telling you, like, this right here, like, I don't really hop on board every Mörk Borg like project, like, just because I think that there's so much of it, and I think that's great. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's great. I'm so glad that the community, there's this huge community behind that game. But this right here has to be hands down the product that I've seen to date that looks exactly like what Stockholm Cartel and those guys all put out. And I think it's amazing to know that they didn't put it out and it was done by one person.
Yeah, it's really cool, and you're completely right. It does look exactly like Johan and Pelle had worked on this themselves. The inspirations are really interesting because you'd expect it would just be a little bit of, I don't know, Sinbad and Pirates of the Caribbean. That's about it. But we've got H.P. Lovecraft, we've got Ursula K. Le Guin, we've got things like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Interesting things like Sid Meier's Pirates. Such an interesting mix of products that have been pulled into the brain trust here.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of an exclusive reveal behind the scenes that we've already discussed. I've already discussed with Luke. Like this, he sent me over the PDF of this, and I'm just like so blown away by the quality of the work and what's already, like, he still has to put in like some of the stretch goals and stuff, which is fine. It won't take him all that long to do. But like, I was so blown away by what he sent over that I've set up terms with him to carry that game at conventions under the VCG banner. Like, so when VCG goes to conventions, we get invited.
Victory Condition
Gaming. Like, we're gonna stock that game and carry it and have it available for sale. Just because I carry Free League product as well, but like. And I carry a few others, but I'm very selective as to what RPGs I carry, and I'm just and I'll tell you what, I'm not a big pirate guy. I'm not.
No,
like,
me either. Not at all.
Like Pirates of the Caribbean and all those, like they're okay. Like I don't get like super excited for them. They're fun. Like it's fun.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, like as soon as I got my hands on that PDF and I'm like looking through and I'm reading through it, I'm just like, oh my God. Like I love Death in Space and I just did a video for that. Like this is going to be that for pirates. Like but it's going to be more truer to the whole Mörk Borg.
Doug.
What? Yeah.
If you think it's that damn good, I think you should prove it. I think you should prove it on your own stream.
Yeah, we've got an interview coming up with Luke on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's what 6 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock in Sweden. And then we're gonna do an actual play on Monday night. Usually that's gonna replace our Chaotic Goodcast. Actually, the Chaotic Goodcast we're gonna do an actual play of it on Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Chaotic Good Cars.
Yeah, so that's how much I put my seal of approval on it. Just, I mean, not that it carries any weight at all, but like I just think it's a great product, and if you love
like another stream, the nerve.
I know, right? I don't mean to. I'm sorry.
Back, so I don't know why I bother.
Yeah, no, I don't come on this show to plug my stuff, but I'm just I really like. This gets my seal of approval, and I'm really excited for Luke, and to see this in physical form is going to be really, really exciting because it's gonna look really good.
We are running fairly low on time, so let's just have a quick through. You've got a bunch of classes: Buccaneer, Brute, Sorcerer, Zealot, Swashbuckler, Rapscallion.
They unlocked a couple more.
Tall Tale, a bunch of ships. For anyone who doesn't know how Mörk Borg works, basically it's a D20. I want to say it's D20 roll under. It's been so long since I've run it.
No, it's you roll over.
It is roll over.
Yeah. But then there's a modifier.
Yes. But it was all player facing. That's what's different with it. So GM doesn't roll. It can roll in some circumstances, but generally doesn't.
Oh yes, the charts.
Yeah, lots of charts and tables. I love tables and role playing games.
Oh my God, you should see some of these tables. They're like. In between classes, I was looking at this PDF again because like I'm just so excited for this. Like, and I'm just chuckling. I'm like looking. I'm like, oh my God, it gives you so many different story prompts and like ideas to get your one shots rolling.
And it's doing really well. So it's kind of smashing through. Add-ons, another copy of the book, another copy of the collector's edition. Now let me tell you as well, I massively regret pulling out from getting the collector's edition of Mörk Borg, because I had it all lined up and I can't remember what happened. There was some life event and basically I just cancelled everything that I was backing and forevermore have regretted it. If you like the look of this game, honestly, grab the collector's edition. That's kind of my thought on this because it won't be available again. And I think this is going to be the one kind of spin-off that you'll want to have. It's the only one that is going to have that same level of impact on the shelf as well. Especially if you've got the collector's edition of the original game. It's a no-brainer. It's not that expensive. I think it's $50 for just the book. $30 for the standard hardback. $45 with character sheets and ship sheets, and $65 for the hardcover books. So £49. So it's not cheap.
It's a smaller book. I mean, it's definitely a collector's thing. So check that out. Let us know what you think. Are you excited for the game? If so, please let us know in the comments. Hit like and all that. Yo, what'd you think?
Damn you, dog! You just cost me $30. That's shipping.
We'll chat. Hit me up. Hit me up. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I'll tell you that.
Probably not. Otherwise, I wouldn't press back. And I just stayed in the background. So
I mean, we're here to spend your money, you know this.
Apparently.
We can talk about that game some more in the after party, which is going to be in 5 minutes' time over on Twitch. So if you have not been there before, just come and hang out here. Just here. Hopefully we'll be joined by some more of our patrons. It's always what we say, it's a bit of a crapshoot. We don't know who's going to turn up. But anyone who is a Patreon subscriber at this point in time has the link to join as we talk about all sorts of stuff that's happened over the last week. We talk about things that have arrived in the mail, movies and TV shows and stuff that we're excited about. So let's jump on over to there. And I hope you've enjoyed the show. There's some great stuff. We've got some more stuff coming next week that I'm really excited to talk about. And that's going to be a whole nother episode. In the meantime, if you can't join us over on Twitch, then please like and subscribe. And I hope that your dice rolls for the next week are way better than mine. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care of yourselves.